Before I even do that, I told y'all about Google. For anybody that's been listening to me, I told y'all I don't use Google products. Well, I just shared something. For the people that see it, I don't know if, listen, it's not a video. You have to read what it says. Okay? You have to read. I don't know. Maybe you can find a blogger to read it for you. But I had already did a story on that. Not a story, but I talked about it. That was probably in 2019. I bet you it's the same lawsuit. I bet you it's the same one. I'm going to have to check and see. I'm going to have to check into more of that. Matter of fact, let me see if I can. I might be able to do it live. Let me see. I've never done this before. Let's see now. Um, Let me see if I can figure this out. Sometimes this stuff is so hard to figure out. But, I just have to do it the way that I know to do it. There are some people, listen, before I even had a smartphone, you would see the people with their phone and they could type with their thumbs. Y'all gotta remember, there's people like that on this stuff. Okay? Fight against that's all they do, all day long. What does it say? No. No, I'm not trying to do that. What is it talking about? No. What are they talking about? Okay, this is something got to do with Google right here. I didn't even use Google to search, but it's coming up because it knows what account I'm under. Okay? It knows what profile that it has been created for me. It knows, it probably even knows what I'm searching for. But it's saying turn on web and app activity. No. No. The answer is always no. Don't turn on. I don't want none of that stuff. At least they ask. But y'all have to remember, do you think they ask for everything? No, they don't. Now, there's something on here. I'm not trying to look at no videos. I already know these are YouTube videos. But now this is San Diego. Let's see here, and then you got these other YouTubers that have to chime in on it and all of that. If it's not a reputable news source, I don't even click on it. But I do check. That's the first thing I check. See who it's coming from. Here's something right here. I just found out about it. But they settled it for $68 million. Might as well say $70 million. Fatty guess that's probably the equivalent of maybe $500 for that company. Okay, what does it say? Wow, this is bright. All right, let me read and see what this says. Oh, wait a minute. I thought they had an old lawsuit. I need to see if this is the one I spoke about. So Friday is when they preliminarily, okay, I don't even know if that's a word, but I guess it is a word. That is when they preliminarily agreed to settle it. Friday. I want to know when did it start though. Apparently this is you know, Google, Alphabet, okay, a unit of Alphabet Company. Which I researched that company too. That's how I know that sounds familiar, Alphabet. But apparently, what happened is they were illegally recording and disseminating private conversations after Google Assistant was triggered in order to send them targeted advertising. Okay? I told y'all I don't use that. I don't use Google anything. I don't use Google anything. I think they know that. That's why they want my picture and my address. That's why they want my ID. They want my driver's license. They want to know my full government name and my address. Did I give it to them? No. Okay, Apple did the same thing. They reached a settlement in December of 2024. Google denied wrongdoing, but settled to avoid the risk, cost, and uncertainty of litigation, court papers show. They declined to comment. Of course they did. If you bought Google devices or were subjected to false accepts since May of 2016. Okay? So yeah, this is the same thing that I talked about. I talked about this in 2019 when they were initially being sued. They aren't giving up much information about this though, I see. Because that came from a very, very reputable news source. Let's take a look at this one. I want to know when it was initially filed. I'm not going to use any Google products to find out. Okay, let's see. Um, those virtual assistants, I've heard people use them. I mean, I guess they just very trusting of something they know nothing about. Da 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 da. Yeah, you can inadvertently trigger it. Okay, inadvertently triggering the virtual assistant. And that's okay. What else they got about it? It's okay. It's supposed to wait in standby mode until it hears a particular phrase. It records what it hears and sends the recording to Google's servers where it can be analyzed. Wow. People use it for various reasons. Questions about the weather, interacting with smart devices like lights and televisions. That's why I don't use none of that stuff. Ain't nothing linked over here. I don't link up any of this stuff. Um Now they're saying that when it's in standby mode, they don't send audio anywhere. But it shouldn't even be listening. The lawsuit says that Google Assistant would sometimes turn on by mistake. The phone thinking someone had said its activation phrase when they had not, and recorded conversations intended to be private. See? Another privacy thing. It all comes down to privacy. I guess nobody cares about their privacy. Uh, and that's fine. That's probably why I ain't following any of y'all around, anywhere. Why would I follow around people that are just reckless? Oh, yeah, here's everything, whatever it is you want to know about me. I guess if you knew anything about me, you would be doing the same thing for me as well. No. Um, okay, here it is class action. They don't say when it was initially filed, though, not yet. May 2016. Well, no, it just says for the products going back that far. They don't say much about these. It's pretty much the same thing. Okay, something must have happened here. Let's take a look at this. Oh, there's a social media trial. Okay, TikTok settled. Let's take a look at this. So apparently Tic-Tac-Toe has settled. This was 2 days ago on this app. It reached a settlement to avoid it being involved in a landmark social media addiction trial. Okay, that's why it settled. It settled to avoid being involved in a social media addiction trial. A matter of hours before jury selection was due to begin in California. A 20-year-old woman uh, said the design of the platform's algorithms left her addicted to social media and negatively affected her mental health. Okay, so I guess she's the one that's going to get paid. Okay, that applied to a lot of you, I'm sure. Um, they reached an amicable solution. The Social Media Victims Law Center. Okay. Wow. Cool. Wow. Wow. I'm not going to go into this, what I'm reading here now. Wow. Interesting. I didn't know that. But I've been talking about this stuff. Ooh, thank God. Finally. Finally. Things are changing. Finally. Oh my God. Yeah, I got to talk about this. This is so interesting. Let me end this.